store.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am Rujasu. I will be playing Pac-Land here. Um, this is a game that looks very fun and joyous, but is actually evil, as we will find out here. Um, Flannel Cat, you want to introduce yourself? All right. Well, as we said, this is going to be 8 trips the whole dang game. So I'm going to press start here, and the time is going to start when I select trip number 1 here. So time starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, jeez.
I would say good luck.
No
Good luck.
pressure here.
Pac-Land. Most people look at this game and they're like, "Oh, it's that level from Smash Brothers." And well, yeah, it is, but that's obviously not where this is from. This is a 1984 platformer that predates Super Mario Bros. That kind of pioneered the 2D side-scrolling platformer. Sometimes Pac-Man runs right, sometimes Pac-Man runs left, and he's a red mage nearly all the time, unless he's a baseball player.
Yeah, we won't see
But
him as a baseball player in this run. He's just gonna stay in the red mage job the whole time.
yeah, the thing we learned running this game is that there are power-ups, and I eventually learned that. I didn't know it at first. But all of them are very slow, and you don't need to get them. Why is Pac-Land, Rujasu?
I if only I knew.
So this is originally an arcade game. This is a TurboGrafx / PC Engine port. In my opinion, probably the best version of this game. The arcade version is, I don't know, a little bit brutal, especially if you play the US version, and has no continues whatsoever. So,
That's very brutal.
oh yes. And on top of that, the quickest way to go fast in the arcade version is to mash a button as quickly as possible. Thanks to the glory of the TurboGrafx 16 or the PC Engine, that has turbo built into the controller, so turbo is legal on every single speedrun on the platform, which is the key to going faster, because you move a lot faster than if you just held the button normally. Now, it is the crux of this speedrun is going fast because of that, and thanks to that, we also lose a bit of control. So while you go a bit faster, Pac-Man becomes a little bit wiry and a little bit wiggly and a lot harder to keep on platforms, which is Rajas is doing just fine.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. It'll especially be tricky on these later levels where the platforms get a lot smaller.
Yeah, and now you're seeing Pac-Man jump on air. The flow of this game is you go right for 3 stages, and then you find the fairy. She gives you some cool new kicks, and you can go left and jump repeatedly. Now, there is a delay on the jump. If you're too high up in the screen, you can't jump anymore, and there is a cooldown on the jump itself. So there are rules. You can't just fly across the top of the screen, and if you just try to do that, you will hit the first plane ghost, which I don't know who is supplying all these ghosts with like cars and planes and spaceships and pogo sticks, but I mean, I don't know why, and I'd like to know why.
Well, if you watch the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, you will probably not get any more idea than you're getting watching the speedrun, to be honest.
And you'll see this is the Pac-Man based off of the, I believe, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. The
Yes.
Japanese version has slightly different eyes because it is not based on the cartoon over there, or they don't have the cartoon license or something along those lines. So if you play the arcade US version, you'll see like the little cat and the little dog, and I forget their names, and I'm gonna feel real silly if their names are Pac Dog and Pac Cat or something.
I don't know either.
Okay, so Rujasu, how do you float across these platforms? What are you doing here to
Yeah.
to fly?
So you see those springboards next to the lakes? You run across the springboard and jump at the end of it, and you have to like mash the jump button, which in this case is the D-pad, repeatedly to get across the lake. Fortunately, we have turbo, so you don't have to mash it repeatedly, but it's still an unusual way of doing things.
Yeah, if you're playing the arcade game, you're just going to be mashing a button, and this game doesn't have a joystick in arcades. It is 3 buttons. There's just a go left button, a go right button, and a jump button. And this is represented on the actual console by using the TurboGrafx equivalent of A and B. The buttons are called 1 and 2 to move left and right. And the stage we just passed, I do want to not glaze over this. Those water spouts we have in the speedrun community lovingly named Satan. So, because if it grabs you, if the water touches you, it will grab you and it will drag you straight down into the water. So every time we get a near miss, it's always not today, Satan.
Yep.
Wow, we're already on round 8. Hey, you're pretty good at this game.
I mean, it's like I have world record or something.
Absolutely. So, a little backstory on Pac-Land. It was first just Lat Mackey running it, and then I think Evan Grill, and then I got into it. But none of them wanted to play the whole dang game as it is. They would always do a 4-trip run, which 4 trips is a much more gentle category. It's half the game, and there's a reason that they only ran 4 trips, because the latter half of this game, trips 4 through 8, are just really cruel. They're not okay sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, well, no one runs the longer category. I should just do this. And I started running 8 trips, and then I ended up on hotfix with it, and someone asked me what the category is named, and I forgot the trip count for whatever reason, just because brain, and I'm just like, I don't know, the whole dang game, and that's what they put on the layout, and from this point forward, that's what the category's been known as. And now, we see Rujasu walking by power pellets here. If you pick those up, there are some cool things you can do if you're trying to go for, like, high score runs, which I have attempted to do one of, and it's a very broken scoring system and not worth it. But you can get a lot of points if you get, I think, a power pellet and, like, 7 ghosts. But what the power pellet does is it stops the timer, and also freezes the game a little bit every time you touch a ghost. So both of those end up with the game going a little bit longer than it needs to. They are much, much slower.
Yeah, there are like 1 or 2 spots later where I'll pick up a power pellet, like on purpose, but generally early on, if you see me pick one up, it was a mistake.
Yeah, the game does get dicey enough that you just pick up a power pellet, just be like, you know what, I just need to not die, and this is fine.
Yeah. So, round 11 here is not too bad, but these levels with these tiny platforms and the rolling log platforms are evil, and we will see how evil they are later.
Anytime you're on the platforms with the logs, you are being scrolled either left or right. I think usually left. And they're just difficult to navigate. And this stage will come back with a vengeance in multiple ways, and it will always be longer and a little more cruel. Like, every stage in this game is unique, but there are a lot of shared mechanics, like the rolling log stages. And that, since you don't have precision control over Pac-Man when you've got turbo going on, being able to land on a specific part of the platform, just so you can get a high jump. I guess we should talk about how jumps work in this game. If you just try to jump without a running start, you will get a very low start. If you only take about 1 step, you will get a very low jump as well. Pac-Man needs to take about 1.5 steps before he can get actually any height on his jump. So when you land on those platforms, the really thin ones, if you land on the center of them, you're kind of just done for. You don't have the space to run and get a full-size jump on that point. You kind of need to dance a little bit to the left and then run back right, but if you touch left, Pac-Man might just take off running on the left. Yeah. It depends on some frame rules there.
Yeah. So, 13, you'll see one of my contributions to this run, which is... you see these fire hydrants here. I can stand on this one and get boosted up onto the rooftops and skip part of the level. It's not super important in 13, it helps a little, but it will help a lot in round 21.
It is still a very safe strat. It only takes like a second or two. If you're really feeling spicy, you can run for it, but it's so much easier, and it will come in, as you mentioned, much handier on a later stage. Because these city stages get crowded. Is this our first ghost house?
Yep.
So these stages are pretty simple. You find a key. You can only hold one key at a time. Keys open a door. And in this one, I don't think you can use your keys in such a way to get... Well, yeah, no, if you really try, you can use your keys in such a way that you can't proceed.
Maybe, yeah.
But, oh, I'm sure you could find a way.
Yeah.
And then this stage is a little bit boring. When this stage comes back, it's very easy to run out of keys. But there's a way you can clip through walls. And I'm usually the only one that actually uses the wall clips on purpose. It's a little bit dangerous. You can soft lock yourself in Pac-Man jail. And it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, I've soft locked myself by clipping on accident, but I've never tried to do it on purpose.
It happened in a race at one point, right?
Yeah. It cost me that race, too.
All you can do if you get stuck in that is you need to find the nearest ghost and run into it. But if you're not scrolling the screen sufficiently left or right, there will be no more ghosts spawning, and you will just get stuck. Mm-hmm. And you just have to wait out the timer, and Sue will let you out.
So if you're running the old 4 trips category of this game, then this would be the last stage of that run. And if you're interested in trying out this run, I highly recommend the 4 trip run. It's pretty easy to like get a run done and start working on it, and good entry-level speedrun for this game.
Yeah, the first 4 worlds of this, while they're not bereft of challenge, they're not exactly ridiculously difficult, and it is a fun run to start to learn. And when you're feeling more confident, I do recommend taking the 8 trips on. And you snooze.
So now we have a nap, and then it becomes evil.
We just take a quick snooze and then get ready for bad things. So this is why we run this game only to 4 trips. Well, I don't think round 5 is so bad. There is this, and then sometimes you just jump on some of these springboards, and a ghost will be in your way. And there's not much you can do about that other than stop.
I can't believe I didn't die there, by the way.
I was pretty impressed. It's this jump that I hate. I hate this jump. Because there's going to be a plane right above you, and where it drops the little ghosts, a little bit random. It's not always consistent. And there's been times where I just get hit by a ghost 4, 5 times in a row. Just why am I doing this?
Yeah, so I didn't die on that stage. Sometimes I die like 3 times.
As well, if you're, once you get at a certain point in the run, dying becomes a little bit extra dangerous and a bigger time loss than it needs to be. Basically, when you hit over 30,000 points, you become a good friend of Pac-Man in the Pac-Land, which means you have to enter your names into the high score leaderboard. And it will not let you continue and proceed until it goes through the whole scene of the leaderboard scrolling to the left, and then you putting your name in, and the name can be up to like 9 characters. And it doesn't save. So part of this run is trying to not game over when you've got over 30,000 points if you can help it. Alright, so we're in Ghost House 2, and I believe you know the better route that I always forget to take.
Yeah. This particular stage, I kept messing up the route when I was starting out this run. It's easy to just like get lost because this level looks the same as the other Ghost House, even though it's a different route and different enemies and stuff.
And in the arcade version of this game, they turn out all the lights, and you can only see a little bit in front of Pac-Man, and it just becomes all very mean. All right, this stage it's probably gonna be packed full of ghosts. But if our host wants to say something, we'll do our best to dodge these ghosts.
Absolutely. Well, we do want to notate and let everybody know that our final goal incentive here has been met. That is right. We are going to be adding the Praetorium dungeon here to the Final Fantasy XIV run. There may be some more in tune for that run, so stay tuned and keep an eye out here on the page. But we have met that incentive, and it's thanks to Rewarded Drawer's $45 donation after their Spin Rhythm XD run, and they say $1 for each S rank, which is 3, $3 for each A rank, which is 9, $5 for each B rank, 3, totaling $45. Thanks again for letting me share my enthusiasm for my favorite rhythm game and showcase some fabulous queer artists to boot. Stay rad, y'all. Less than 3. Forfeit all mortal possessions to Frug. And that has pushed Pickles the Frog into the lead for the Cheeky's Chase character bid war. That puts Pickles the Frog at $75, which is just ahead of Cheeky the Bird at $60, Ronnie the Cat at $45, Skips the Rabbit at $25. You still have just a little bit of time here up until the end of this Pac-Land run to get your donations in to see which character you want to run that Cheeky's Chase run. So please make sure that you are using that exclamation mark donate command in the chat if you want to see somebody other than Pickles the Frog run Cheeky's Chase.
Well, thank you for that. As you saw, round 20 did not have any ghosts in it. There were 2 total. We call that Ghosts on Strike. Oh! Rough fall. And it's just a fun stage, and more often than I'd like to admit, I have run into 1 of 2 ghosts in stage 20.
Yeah, same.
We had a close call.
They just kind of catch you napping at the end.
So 21 we saw a return of the get on the roof technique, and 22 we start to see these pools of water in the canyon stages. Now, what is kind of cool about the pools of water, if you've got the lives to burn, as long as you fall on the right side of something, usually you will spawn at the top of it, and so you can kind of death warp forward. But that was a nice 22. We got through it.
Yeah. Not my best 22, but could have been worse.
Oh yeah. No game over yet, so that's solid. That's great.
Yeah. Might be coming soon, though.
Well, just don't go in the water spout. We'll be fine. Yeah, so you're starting to see these stages get a little spicier, and, you know, they look similar to other ones, but I can promise you every single stage in this game is unique. While this is kind of just 31, but a lot simpler and gentler.
Thank God it's not 31.
Yeah, 31 is, kind of, and that's, okay, so that was a great example of what I was talking about with Pac-Man having a lot of momentum. Since you have Turbo on, when you just tap the button once to start running so you get a decent jump, sometimes Pac-Man just takes off full bore into the water, or off a cliff, or somewhere you don't want Pac-Man to be.
Terrible place to get a game over.
Oh, absolutely.
Right at the end of the level.
Right at the end of the stage. So now, as you can see, these are the good friends of Pac-Man in the Pac-Land. And we're back. But if you didn't have over 30,000 points, which is an impossibility if you've got a really good run going, you will not have to enter your name again. It'll just go straight to continue.
Yeah, so in my world record run, I think I made it to round 25 before I took a game over. Most runs of this, basically that run, I had 1 game over, and it's like the only time I've ever had a run with 1 game over, and not like 2, 3, 4, several.
Well, we'll see where this ends up. So the ghosts themselves do have somewhat different behavior. They aren't just aesthetic in those colors. I know it's not always seemingly true, and it's a little bit hard to discern, but like the blue one tends to dip a little further. The yellow one doesn't dip as badly. It's interesting how they start to interact and you start to catch on to these things.
Yeah, the blue one's a jerk. Blue one is
Oh, the blue one's the worst. Worst. Absolute worst joke. Worst ghost. Alright, so now we're just running left again, and we're on 24. The stages are starting to get a little spicy, as we've seen. Well, not starting. They are spicy. Let's just be real. These stages have become spicy. But yeah, I spent a while trying to get anyone to run 8 trips, and thankfully, PSEG and Rujasu and David TKI all ended up picking it up. And the older runners of the game still just won't do it. And that's fine. I respect that. But gosh, 8 trips. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, this run is evil, but it is, like, very rewarding. Like, I remember when I was learning the run, I was, like, trying to just, like, get through it and get a half-decent time, and, like, you and PSEG kept, like, encouraging me, like, you can do this, like, and finally I kind of broke through. But it was intense, and it was very rewarding once I actually got it.
Yeah, and there's times where you just have to sit down and maybe practice 31 for a while.
Yep.
Because if there's like a wall in this game, it's 35 or 31, and there's like a canyon stage in this trip, right? That's also pretty nasty.
26.
Or is that in the other? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see 26 coming right up, actually.
I can't wait.
So 26 was the first level in this game that I was really, like, thinking, like, can I actually beat this? Am I just, like, not good enough to beat this level? I might take a game over here because I'm kind of low on lives, but I have kind of figured this level out. Like, it's hard, but it's not a wall anymore.
Yeah, there's fun tech that you can do where you can, like, land on ghosts and use that to clear platforms, like delay your jump right there just like they did, and use that to get across. And sometimes everything just falls into place, but now when you die by the water, you get this happening, and we got lucky right there because none of the ghosts dipped too far down.
Yeah, I actually, like, jump a very specific way to get that to happen.
Yeah. And that time, they took a jump up in the air there and moved a little bit to the right and to the left just to spawn a ghost that they could jump off of, and tried to make the jump and died. But like I said, sometimes you can die to the furthest right section of a platform, and that will respawn you on top of it.
So
all right, now we're on 27, Car in the Woods.
I found this level to be kind of a Jekyll and Hyde situation because you never know exactly what you're going to get. You just kind of get random enemy spawns, and sometimes they're not too bad, and sometimes it's just a horrible jerk. Like, this was a good 27.
Yeah. I always... This stage is always super memorable just because of that one car that's in the woods. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It is the only time that happens in this game. Alright, on our way back on 28, I don't recall this being very much.
There's just a lot of pogos at the beginning. Just all the pogos.
And
like,
the pogos are really nasty, because as you're seeing, sometimes they move up and then to the right, or sometimes they just go straight up and down. They can, it's probably not RNG, but sometimes it can become very difficult to react to. Because you think a ghost is going to move to the right, so you start running, and then the ghost just nails you.
Yeah, like, I'm not exactly sure if this game has RNG, or it just... things change based on, like, how you move. But, there are a lot of points that definitely seem like RNG.
Now it's time for my favorite stage, and what we're about to do is the intended way to complete the stage. There's not some way where you can actually cross this otherwise. You need to jump on a ghost. Now, as well, all these platforms that we're jumping around now, those platforms are very deadly. Because if a cloud moves through you and starts moving down, it will pull Pac-Man down into the hurt box of the ghost. Like that. So you need to dodge the platforms moving up and down, in addition to trying to stay on the ghost. Now, if you die in the middle of that stage and don't game over, you get put on what we colloquially refer to as Penalty Island, which is one of those little islands there, which you have almost no ability to actually get a ghost going the way you want it to, and you just need to platform. And with the controls that we're using, it gets a little difficult.
Yeah, it's almost better to get a game over there.
And like, I say this like, oh, what if you just turn off turbo? And yeah, you can. Pac-Man's still pretty slippery, and these platforms are still a nightmare, even with turbo off. And you'll see those preemptive jumps as the platforms are moving down, and there we go, that's a great 29.
Yeah.
Alright, last ghost house? Yeah, last ghost house.
Yep.
And we're going to try to get that and not go through there. This is the wall that usually soft locks people right there, that room. I always skip the key and just try to jump through the wall, and then I'll do it again here that we are going around. That takes effort, and if you mess it up, you end up in that little room blocked by doors on your left and right, and you just have to wait out the timer. So I like going for it, but that's kind of that's just kind of how I play this game. Now we can just run to the end. Oh, I like the going up to the top and dodging the ghost.
There's a reason I did that. You'll see later why I do it that way. I'm just kind of doing it that way out of habit now.
I follow. Welcome to 31. This is the Widowmaker of the game. This is the hardest stage in the game. It is a kind of a disaster. There is so many ghosts. And especially now that we're on planes, it gets a little bit harder. Now, every one of us kind of has our own little strategy we like to use in this section. Rujasu's is pretty rad. I like it a lot. I just kind of go for it. But I'll do a lot of corner jumps to try to get on the top, and as long as I can stay on top of the platform here, I'll be pretty good, usually. Sue was getting a little uncomfortably close. I like that running jump onto the ghost. That's a great setup.
Yeah, I found that to be, like, about as consistent as you can get for this level. Like, nothing's going to be too consistent here, but...
Yeah, and we're just going to ride across. I try to use the ghosts as middle platforms and jump along the top. It's a bit quicker, it's a lot riskier and scarier. And dying is a really rough situation on this stage. It moves you forward a bit, usually. But once you're at the bottom of the screen and planes are spawning, it's really bad. Alright, welcome to the final stage of the game. This is 32. There are no checkpoints in this stage. It's just Flappy Bird to the left, really. And there's a large part of me that wants to try to ROM hack this game to make an infinitely scrolling leftward version of 32. Except I can't do that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd play it, but... yeah, I'm not sure how to do that either.
But the only thing at the end of this stage is the house immediately at the other side of the ocean, so there's not even like a checkpoint midway through.
Nope. Let's just get it right or do it over.
I have lost world record attempts to this stage.
Oh yeah.
It's not very difficult, but there is a lot of pressure on this stage once you're here.
Right. It's like after you've done the hard stuff, like you've done a good 26 and a good 29 and a good 31, and then it's like you have to get this perfectly too. And it's not that hard, but you have to do it or it just throws everything else out. Time.
Yeah, sorry, that was time.
Sorry.
My favorite part of that is the power pellet at the end, right when you would never need it.
So yeah, that was that
was an excellent time.
That was 8
2026.
trips. All right, yeah.
Yeah, 30
anything
minutes
under
used to be the
30
dream
minutes, I'm
and
happy
unheard
to-
of.
to stay in a marathon.
Now it's like all of us can kind of consistently get under 30, and that's amazing. Well, hey, GG. I heard there's more.
Yeah.
What happens when you beat this game? There's a lemon tree, but what happens?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So when you beat this game, the first thing that happens is you get a high score entry thing here. But the second thing that happens is
So tell
you
me
unlock a whole other game, Pac-Land Pro. So it's just, the same as regular Pac-Land, but harder.
I
how
like to
hard can
consider
it
us
be?
Pac-Land professionals.
That game didn't look that hard, right? So you'll see a little demo of it here, but the enemies go a little faster and things get just a little bit harder here. So I picked out, I'm not going to do the whole thing because I don't speedrun this whole Pac-Land Pro thing, and in fact nobody has. But I'm going to show off a few selected levels to give you just a taste of this. So I'm going to do like 5 levels, and it's going to take about 5 minutes. So I'm just going to use save states to queue them up because that's a little faster. So the first one here is going to be round 16, which you may remember is
And
the
there
end
are...
of the
Oh, go ahead,
four
go ahead.
trips. So let's go here. So, yeah, just same layout, but
So
just a
we
bit
do.
faster.
Rujasu and I are the only ones who have times on the leaderboard for 4 Trips Pro, and this would be the end of that run. This is the end of 4 Trips Pro, and we don't go any further than this. For good reason. Things are looking a little spicy, but I mean, like, sure, I can handle this the whole game, right? Anyone can handle this the whole game. It's just going this fast. It's okay. All right, GG, easy, no problem.
Yep. Alright, so for this level here, I can usually do this one, but you'll see. And by the way, for all these, I'm gonna try to beat them in 5 lives, and if I get a game over, that'll be $10 for gate. So here we go. Round 30.
The ghosts are in
you
a
may have
hurry.
remembered this ghost
The
house.
ghosts are
It's one
going
we didn't
mildly
say a whole lot
fast.
about.
They are zooming.
Yeah.
They're zooming through.
Whoop.
Let's see here. This one can be a little tricky. Actually,
And there is at
can
least
be a
no
little
RNG
tricky. What
here.
am I saying?
Now, when you're on the top of the screen, jumping gets really dicey. Because when you hit the top of the screen, Pac-Man
Yeah.
rebounds downwards immediately. Where at least if you're in the in a hallway, he hits the top of the screen and doesn't quite fall immediately.
Yeah, that spot right there is what usually gets me. Okay, I got past that,
I
so
believe
I
in the
might have a
dream.
chance to beat this here.
Whoa.
We will see. Alright. And this right here is why I go up top, because I'm not jumping over that thing.
It's a good habit.
So I
you
just
never
do
need
that
to
in the
worry
regular
about
level,
accidentally.
now, just gotta have it.
Also, if you notice, the fairy at the end has a bicycle helmet on. The end game fairies and whatnot all look a little different.
Yeah, that's right. There are a few little
You
differences
get biker,
graphically.
biker fairy, baseball fairy, all that stuff. All right, 26. Let's go. Easy to jump. Well, easy to land on these guys. To use them as platforms is normal, right?
Yeah,
Whoa.
sure. I gotta jump to this log, and I tried. Did I get progress? No.
Oh, a little bit further to the right.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, I will get progress there, but now I'm down to 1 life,
Nope.
so I'm probably not going to get this. The way to beat that, so that'll be $10 for gate. The way to beat that is you actually have to jump on the ghost that's following you, and it's kind of random as to whether you actually get it. Let's see. 29? Yeah, so if 29 wasn't hard enough before...
This game alone is, oh, not even this stage, sorry. It's, I think the last stage we're gonna show.
Yeah. I will show one more after this, but I'm not gonna beat it.
Yeah. Come on, Sue. Come on, Sue.
So all we can do is hope that Sue moves us to the right, which she is, so that's good. But I can't stay on her for the whole level because eventually she'll just stop and eat me. So I need to jump off, and I might not have enough time to do it here, but I can at least try to get to the second island here. And then I'll potentially have some lives to get through the rest of the level.
So the thing with the timer at the bottom of the screen, that's basically Sue's enrage timer, not to borrow some MMO terms. When that goes down to nothing, Sue starts moving lightning fast, and will just rocket at you right away. And you can live through it, but you gotta move. You gotta move fast.
I have now beaten this stage twice.
Hey!
This was the second time.
I'm not gonna clap because that's gonna be bad for acoustics, but I'm clapping.
Alright, so finally I'll show off 25. I am not going to beat 25, and you're about to see why.
Yeah, 25 is the brick wall of Pro. People have made it to 25, no one's getting past 25.
The only thing I will say for this is you might be able to TAS it. Like, if you have infinite save states, you might be able to get through it. But, like, with a finite number of lives, nope, not happening.
What I wouldn't give for a Pac-Land TAS.
Maybe someday. Alright, so that's been Pac-Land and Pac-Land Pro. So, yeah. Thanks so much for having me. Glad I could show this off today. I guess shout-outs, first of all, Flannel, obviously. Thank you for being on comms, and thank you for making this run basically a thing to begin with. Shout-out to Trace, aka PSEG, for being the first person I watched run this game and kind of inspiring me to pick it up and kind of encouraging me. David TKI for just some of the worst puns I've ever heard. And everybody else who, has run this game. And thank you to Fast Pace Events. Love this community. Very happy to have been a part of some of these events in the past, and honored to finally show off a run for all of you. You can find me at twitch.tv/Rujasu55. You do need the numbers at the end. And last but not least, trans rights. Kat, you got anything to say?
Y'all should follow Rujasu, they're wonderful. Thanks so much for hanging out and enjoying Pac-Land. And if y'all want to run this game, we don't have a Discord or anything, but, jump in our DMs, it's cool. Or just start running the game, it's alright.
All
That's
right. Well, thank you so much, Rujasu and Flannel Cat. That was very entertaining and a wild run, especially the pro levels there at the end. Thank you so much for showcasing that game and the pro levels. Again, we really appreciate it.